Hi guys, Sandy here from S. Robbins Art. Came to you today to do another beach sort of scene, like I did on one of my last videos. So, I am just going to put my hands on the canvas that I want. I already took back, and I'll see here. So now what I'm going to do is put in some push pins so it's up off of the my painting surface, and I've also got a level so I can make sure everything is nice and level. And there we go. So I take it usually right into where the corners are and give it a couple good shakes. These jumbo push pins are really good, and I just pick them up at my local Staples. Very inexpensive, and they help quite a bit. Alright, so then I just put my level on. See where I'm at. This side needs to go down just a hair. It's pretty good there. Try it this way, that's good. And this way, yep, we're good. So, from there, what I'm going to do is give my colors a really good shake. I'm using a self-mix navy that I took a really dark ultramarine blue and added some black and some green too. And then I've got my turquoise that I mixed up myself as well. Not really sure what base paint's in that one. And then I have Liquitex Basics Light Blue Permanent that I'll be using. And my mixture of white. My white is all just a house paint. And I mix all of my paints with water and Floetrol. And then I also have the sand color, and that was again a self-made color, and I made this by mixing Amsterdam's Van Dyke Brown with water, and then of course Floetrol and water. Okay, so get going on this beach scene pour. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sort of do this kind of idea. Though I will go along my edges to make sure I've got really good coverage on my edges. So there's the self-made navy. To that, I'm going to put in some of the turquoise. Getting kind of low on this one. And even though I am, putting the turquoise and the navy along the sides, I will go back and make sure I use sort of like a mixture of the paints in that along the sides, just to sort of make it a little bit more cohesive. And then I'm going to put a little bit of light blue down there, and then more light blue up through here. I'll probably end up putting some of the navy up here too, or if not, I can always just do it with my palette knife. So from here, I'm just gonna tilt a little to try and get these colors mixed together. I think I'm going to need some more of the navy. Put some more of that in there. And again, just tilting to try and incorporate those three colors. Sorry for tipping it out where I know you can only sort of see the back, but it's the best way for me to get this covered. Okay, so from here, it's pretty well covered now. So from here, what I want to do is just take my palette knife, and I'm just gonna kind of do this. Get some movement in there. Got a little bit of the light blue and the navy and the teal all kind of mixing together. And it doesn't have to be like a straight line across here, because as we all know, water ebbs and flows. So a little bit of a wavy sort of texture up here is probably better. I really like how those three colors mix together to make sort of a watery look. And here I'm just taking a little bit of the extra paint down and covering my sides with it. And again, I'm just using the drippings of all the of all the mixed up paint to do that. And this way you make sure that your whole canvas is covered, and that way it looks beautiful from the side as well. So just pick up the drippings off of the table. Like I'm just using the palette knife here just to spread that on. Still got quite an amount of paint on here, which is fine. I think what I want to do now that I've got pretty much lots of water movement there is I'm going to tip it so that it actually goes right over to the side, over the side on that side, just to make sure things are covered and looking good. I'm going to tip it back a little bit. Oh yeah, still got a couple spots I missed. That's fine, we'll just sort of finger pop along the side there. And I always start with the darker color at the bottom and then transition into the lighter colors from there. And of course, I mean, I do have a lot more of the dark, almost the navy blue here, and then, you know, you mix in some of the teal, and then you go up here and then you mix in more of the light blue, and you still do pull some of the navy from the bottom part, but at least this way it gives it it has a lot of movement. It looks like it could actually be water. Just going to pick up some off the side here, or yeah, the drippings, just to touch up my sides. There we go. All right, now what I want to do from here is my sand. So the sand, as I said, is just white along with Amsterdam's Van Dyke Brown to make this sand color. Got some hair on there. Make sure we get that off. So I'm going to do it right around this area here, because I'm going to add white in between to make it look like the waves crashing onto the sand. And just running my squeeze bottle along the sides just to try and make sure we're all covered here. What I do in between is I make sure that I wipe my palette knife off well, so that I don't have a lot of transfer of, or I don't have any transfer of the blues in with the sand. And just want to, sort of make it go around in a little bit more of an organic feel. Again, picking up the drippings just to cover my sides and to cover any bare spots that I have. You don't have to use a palette knife for this, but I do find that the palette knife makes it just a little bit easier to handle. It works almost like a spoon, so you can pick up a fair amount at one time and just let you distribute it where you want it to go. You can always go out over your sides and your corners too after you've completed your painting, so then you don't have to worry about fiddling with it when it's wet. But I like to just sort of make sure I've got a good coverage and good coat on it while it's wet. So, because usually once I put it off to dry, then I'm either onto another painting or something else. All right, so to this I'm going to add my white. Again, my white is just a house paint that I buy by the gallon, and just mix it up with my Floetrol and water. And I actually usually mix it in quite a large container. I can show you that in just a second. And then I put some into squeeze bottles just to make it a little bit easier for when I'm doing a technique like this, or to cover my edges. This is the bottle that I mix up my house paint and water and Floetrol in. It's 12 ounces or 3 quarts. So that's what's in there. I just picked that up at the dollar store. And the painter's tape, that you see on the back, that is simply dollar store painter's tape as well. It works fine. I've had no issues with that whatsoever. So for right now, I am just going to keep as much of the blue out of the white as I can, but I'm going to do a bit of a Dutch pour technique, and with that technique, it's going to mix the paints and that up somewhat, and that's fine. I'm totally good with that. Alright, so just pick this up and tilt it a little bit more. Just get things sort of even on there and a little bit of a more organic feeling to it. So I like to keep wiping my hands as well, so that hopefully I don't transfer much paint from an area that I want it to an area that I don't want the paint to be. Do that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this, the world's smallest leaf blower is what it's called. And I'm going to use that for sort of like my Dutch pour feeling. This little sucker it's small, but it's very powerful, which is a good thing. And it just plugs in with the USB. All you have to do is press this little button here, and see how it moves my glove. So I mean, it's a pretty strong little leaf blower per se. So then I just take it and sort of make it go up in the sand, almost like how waves do crash. And I'm going to bring some into the water. And I find by doing this too, you can bring up a lot of really nice, cool looking cells, and it just adds a little bit of almost reality to the painting. It makes it look a little bit more realistic instead of, oh look, she put a line of paint there, and that's how she transitioned from one color to another. And I'm good with, like, if the sand mixes in with the white, and then you bring it back up a bit, because as you know, you can often see the sand underneath the water when it comes to the closer to the surface, or higher up on the beach. I can use this little, try not to get paint on it. I can use this little leaf blower up here as well to give this a little bit of more movement. But I am actually seeing quite a few air bubbles because, of course, I haven't torched yet. So I'm just going to set that aside for now. And give this a torch. Yeah, there's lots of air bubbles in here, which is understandable. I always shake up my paints just before I lay them down on the canvas, so it makes sense that there's going to be a fair amount of air bubbles in them. So up here in the sand, there's a couple of bare spots. There was probably some fair-sized air bubbles there, and just want to fill those in a bit. So again, just picking up the paint on my palette knife and just putting it onto the surface, and then trying to lightly glide over it and yet not hit the canvas, because when you hit the canvas you will or you can create a bare spot if you dig in a little bit too deep. I want a little bit more of the sand in here, maybe down there, maybe there. Okay, so again, wipe off my palette knife as I go, and just popping some more bubbles. Not getting a lot of cells or lacing. I'm not overly surprised by that. The paint is still relatively thick on here. Let's see if I focus my torch in this part of the water or the waves, that it gives it a little bit more of a lacing feel to it, and helps to bring out some little cells and stuff. Can do the same up here where I'm transitioning. Yeah, still not bringing up a ton. So I think what I will do is I will tilt off some of this white and sand color. Well, the whole thing is going to tilt, so I'm going to lose color all the way down, but that's okay. And then I'm going to bring it back. And again, this by tilting like this, it can bring a lot of movement into the paint. I'm going to bring it back to the center of the painting, so the basic weight of my paint is more towards the middle. And I think I'm going to get my little leaf blower out and try blowing a little bit more. And then maybe I'll do some more torching and we'll go from there. I don't know if you can see it, but I got a blob of something there, so I'll pick that out. Oh, my washer just sang. Sorry for the interruption there. Okay. Got a little bit of the canvas. Canvas isn't actually showing, but it's starting to almost peek through a little bit over here. And nope, we're good over here. They definitely have some on the end. give it another torch to see if I can bring out some more lacing. I'm not getting a whole lot. That's alright. Up here I have the blue is made its way quite a ways up. So I'm just gonna wreck it. No. You know what? I'm going to use my tubing that I just use when I mouth blow, and I'm going to move some of the paint around that way. I'm going to move some of the brown up here to cover some of my spots, and I'll be right back. Give it another torch. There we go. I'm getting some lacing here now. Still not a ton. But I do like the way that it's a little bit more of an organic feel to it. And I like a little bit of the water, the white coming into the water and crashing around. Ooh, large bubble. There we go. Okay. Well, I think for now, that's where I'm going to leave this one off. So, thanks for watching. I'm glad you came along with me on this journey, and we'll see you on the other side. Talk to you soon.